Having just finished my 27th year of teaching middle school TV and film production, I like to just go sit in the backyard and relax and watch the birds fly by. I wanted to capture some of those birds on my Sony a7C when I quickly realized two things. One, 24 megapixels doesn't really give me a lot of room to crop in on. And two, having an 85mm lens is not quite close enough to capture the birds that I see. I've got to solve these two problems. What do I do? First thing on the box, it says, release the happy. What goodies do we have in here? I went with the Sony a7C-R. The R stands for resolution 61 megapixel camera. To reach out into the distance in my backyard, I got the Tamron 150 to 500 millimeter lens. This thing is a beast. First impressions with the Tamron 150 to 500 millimeter lens. This thing is awesome. The moment I put it in my hand, I truly felt like I was some kind of National Geographic explorer photographer. And I was just hunting around my backyard. When the lens is fully extended and the cool lens hood, I felt legit 100% Nat Geo. And then I started taking photos. On the far side of this, there was a dove, and I took a picture at 150 millimeters. Then I zoomed in so I could show the difference. And in that moment, a wonderful robin came in, and I got a 2-for-1 special. But you can see the difference between the 150 and the 500. Instantly, I was like, oh my gosh, this lens is incredible and I love it. Which goes to my next first impression. The bokeh was fantastic. Yes, there is a variable aperture of 5.6 to 6, but the separation of the birds from the background looked great, and I'd only been shooting for about 30 minutes. There was just one drawback, which made me think of what happened last year when I had the Sony 70 to 300. And when you have the biceps of a Jonas Vingegaard, it gets heavy after a while. Yeah, that's right. When you've got the biceps of Jonas Vingegaard, last year's Tour de France winner, this lens becomes very heavy, weighing in at 1.88 kilograms or 1,880 grams. It's a little over 4.1 pounds. This lens gets very heavy. Where I highly recommend your first thing, if you're going to do sports photography, nature photography, put this thing on a monopod. Your arms will get tired and your pictures will be great. Let's go inside and talk about some of the tech specs of this very impressive lens. It is now time to play Backyard Bird Bingo, where all you gotta do is get 5 in a row, horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. Let's spin the wheel. One of the things that I love about this style of lens from Tamron, which we have come to expect from a Tamron zoom lens, is that it is weather sealed. There is a rubber ring around the bottom, so this lens was meant to be outside, and as we've talked about, if you are taking sports photography, nature photography, you're going to want that weather seal because not every day is going to be sunny. Well, let's try again. There are 4 buttons on the front of your lens. 2 are for vibration control. 1 is your manual focus, autofocus, and then the other is your focusing range. You can basically turn off the VC, which stands for vibration compensation. And then you have 3 vibration compensation modes. Mode number 1 is just standard vibration compensation. Mode number 2 is for panning, and mode number 3 is for framing. Now, having used this lens for only a week, I could not tell the difference between these 3 modes. It would probably take me hours before I could distinguish the fine minutia between each mode. All I know is that when you are zoomed in at 500 millimeters, you are going to want some kind of vibration control, so I would recommend always keep it on, and mode number 1 is the best. 4 more to go. When it comes to focusing, you have 3 modes in there as well. You have the full mode. You can go from 3 meters to infinity, or you can go from 15 meters to infinity. This could be very helpful. Say you're at a racetrack and there's a fence in front of you and you don't want it to always autofocus on the fence. Simply put it at 3 meters to infinity and it won't see the fence. This is a very good feature for a 500 millimeter lens. Spin that wheel. The next feature that I absolutely loved, and when I say this, I just loved it. It was a nice thing that they put into it for no other reason than I really just think it is cool. It's the zoom lock feature. For this feature, you could zoom out to 500, and then if you want to keep it there, you just pull the lens forward and now you can't zoom anymore. If you want to zoom in and out, pull it back towards you and you can zoom in, or you could zoom out all the way. I found this really helpful as I found a nice distance for what I was focusing on and I could just pull it out and keep it there. When it comes to the zoom button, it has a very nice rigidity to it. It is firm. I love the tactile feel, which is something I'm a big fan of, but I really love this feature for no other reason than I found myself using it quite a lot in the week that I had the lens. 2 more to go. The autofocus with this lens was, well, great. It did its job. It could literally pick up the subjects. When I paired this lens with the Sony a7CR and its animal recognition, it worked really well. It was able to not only pick up the body of the birds, zoomed in closer, it could then pick up the eye of the bird. Sometimes there would be some hunting and pecking, but it never got to the point where my frustration level was raised up here where I'm thinking, I can't get this because of the autofocus. Instead, what I found myself thinking was the autofocus with the lens combined with the camera was really capturing some great images of the crazy birds in my backyard. Spin that wheel. Bingo, we have a winner. The image quality and the sharpness of this lens is really good. The birds in the center are very, very sharp. Shooting with this lens, you are again capturing great images, and no one's ever going to turn to you and say, oh, those are Tamron images, because they just look so good. Tamron has put a lot of care into this lens, and you see it, which of course brings me to my next point. When it comes to shooting with zoom lenses, I think I am now building up a wonderful pedigree. Last summer I shot with the Sony 70-300, and then this spring I used the Sony 100-300 lens. But I gotta tell you, something happened that I would just say was electric. Because you can reach out to 500 millimeters, what I wanted to capture, I was able to capture, which makes me say this is a lens at a price range that you should buy. For everyone who's not a professional photographer that doesn't want to go for the Sony lenses, which I clearly do not because those price ranges are out of my reach, the price range for this 150 to 500 millimeter lens says you need to get this lens. And if you want, click on the affiliate down below and go to Amazon and take out a look at this lens and how awesome it is. I now am the fine owner of 2 of their other lenses. I absolutely love the 17-28 lens for vlogging and just taking really great pictures. This and an f2.8 is a fantastic lens, once again, at a great price. Good job, Tamron. And I really love their 28-75 lens, another great beginner lens that is a nice zoom lens and it's at an f2.8. These are fantastic lenses, especially if you are someone who is brand new to photography. They come at a great price point and they get you started. Thanks for sticking around and listening to this. Hit that subscribe button and watch more videos about photography. And we will see you guys in the next one.